You are listening to the Practicing the Art of Small Business podcast with Shannon Merlot and Julie Parker. Join their conversation about business, leadership, and the self-awareness journey to greater success.
Welcome, Julie and listeners, to Practicing the Art of Small Business, episode 21.
Who knew we'd last this long?
I knew we'd last. You're amazing.
Oh, that's true. It is all on my shoulders. It's because of me. How are you, Shannon?
It is. I am well. I am well. We won't talk about what's going on in Melbourne at the moment. So other than that,
I don't talk about the things that distress us deeply.
Yes, I
The
shall.
word lockdown doesn't exist on this podcast.
No. I'm just locked down in my brain and my apartment, but it's all good.
That's it.
It's all good. It's all good.
We're going to rise above it and not think about all the trauma it causes at the moment. So hopefully a little bit of a light episode today. What have we got on for ourselves today?
Well, funny you should actually say that. I think that what I would like to talk about today could actually add value to anyone dealing with a lockdown. Hopefully by the time this episode goes live, they're not dealing with it.
That's
right. Let me take you on a journey, tell you the story of how we got here and what I think this episode might be about.
Lovely. I'll sit back and I'll get comfy. Okay.
Get on the desk, Julie and listeners. Take a leg off. take a leg off, take a load off. So I was chatting with a client yesterday, very gratefully chatting with a client, and one of the challenges that they were having, which actually I was able to tell a story that I was like, this is so normal because I've also experienced this, and this is very normal because a lot of business owners experience this. We get so caught up in the reactivity of doing business, that whole kind of cliche of on the business, in the business. And I think often what happens is we sit there and we go, if I just put my head down and I work through and I just keep typing, then I'm going to find the solution. But we don't give ourselves time to think. So I was working with this client and I said, we were trying to work out helping them to create space for thinking. And they said to me, but Shannon, if I created space to just think, I wouldn't use the time effectively, or I would move my head around. So I came up with a bit of a framework for thinking.
Yay, I love a good framework.
So before I share my framework, because that would just be the end of the podcast.
We need some padding.
Julie, do you think that the problem that I've explained is a problem for some? And what other solutions do you think could happen in addition to the sexy framework that I'm going to share at some stage in this podcast?
I feel like you're setting me up that you're going to turn around at the end of it and go, all those ideas are worthwhile, Julie, but I've got a better answer, which I embrace. So I experienced this just this past week. Because of the word that we won't mention, the lockdown, I have been working from home and been busy getting all the bits and pieces done that's normally on the to-do list, or I don't have a to-do list, or that they've all been scheduled in my diary, but I brought them all forward because I had time to get it all done. And yesterday I found myself doing a bit of thumb twiddling, going, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Thinking, I want to make the day useful. How can I make the day useful? And then it dawned on me, you haven't gone out for a nice long walk and contemplated the things that you're doing. So go out and do that right now. And it reminded me of how long it had been since I did that, and that I hadn't been scheduling it in because I felt myself just a bit too busy doing the bits and pieces that were in my schedule every day. So First-hand experience, Shannon, this is coming at a very timely moment for me.
It always does. It always does. I'm curious, Julie, what happened on your walk? Did you find profound moments of clarity, or was it just an enjoyable time to ponder?
Part of the walk was uphill, so my ass muscles were getting quite sore, and they are particularly sore today, let me tell you.
Oh, thanks
but anyway,
Julie. Appreciate that.
No, that's I just want everyone to picture my ass, as a 50-year-old that's, quite extraordinary. And, this is where you actually go out looking for hills because there's got to be work to be done. But the moments of clarity were absolutely there. There were a couple of areas of work that I knew I needed to get to the next step, but I kept muddling around in the short-term thinking, and it helped me to broaden that scope out. So I did come back with a couple of great ideas to work with. Well, let's hope they're great ideas. I haven't worked on them yet.
So your strategy was sort of getting out of the office environment and kind of using your legs and getting the brain muscle and the butt muscle working.
Yes, and my ass muscles, that's right.
Incidentally, just a little side biology lesson. You know I love one of these, but I learned this from my chiropractor, very learned man, who's amazing. Your butt actually does drive your primary thinking behaviours. So there is actually a butt and brain connection, and it's a primary driver. So often when our butts are switched off, our brains are not functioning in the right way. And this is a very, very simple non-scientific explanation. But pardon the pun. Pardon the bun. Buns. Yes, but when you do get your butt working, your brain patterning and movement patterning actually works better, and therefore your thinking works better. Your cognitive ability works better.
Well, that is astounding, Shannon. I certainly feel smarter with my sore ass. I didn't realise it was helping my brain to work. So therefore, the template you're going to give us is going to be a bit of a kick up the pants, is it, to trigger the thinking?
Ding, ding. Well, funnily enough, it doesn't involve movement. But what I thought as I was going through and giving instruction to my client was, back in coaching school, there's generally a bit of a framework that you work towards. And the framework that you work towards is, where am I now? Where do I want to be? And in the where do I want to be, what we're looking to create is a image of us in the future, because what our brain can conceive, then we can achieve. And so a lot of the coaching methodologies and anything that you would read in personal development would be, who am I in the future? How do I think? How do I feel? How do I act? Because what you're doing then is creating a pathway for your brain to work out that this version of you actually exists. So if you can imagine yourself as this version exists. So in coaching, it's where you are, where you want to get to, and that sort of gap, the gap in the middle. So as I started to think through for this particular client, this framework, that's where I started. Again, I'm just going to pause because it's all about building the momentum towards the final outcome, Julie. We want people to be
getting excited, Shannon. I'm getting super, super excited. I can feel my energies rise. I can't wait.
Good to know. Sorry, I just got distracted for a second.
Doesn't take much. She needs a framework just to keep focused.
My framework. To be fair, this framework would work for my focus. So should I just, instead of just holding off, maybe I could give the framework and we could use this in situation.
Beautiful.
Okay, cool. So step number 1, what's the ultimate goal? Now, the ultimate goal sounds very profound, but the ultimate goal could be just a small goal. For example, my ultimate goal is to stay sane during this period of what we're not talking about. Or my ultimate goal could be hire this new person. Or the ultimate goal could be get to bed before 11. So, or it could be my ultimate goal is my profound purpose, what I'm meant to be, what I was put on this earth to be. That's, my ultimate goal. So the goal is whatever you want to achieve.
Big or small.
Big or small. Right. Then how do you think and feel now that you've got there? Mm. And for those visual thinkers, you can also build into the picture what you can see when you're there, what you can hear when you're there. But what's really important is, how does this version of me who's achieved this ultimate goal think, and how do they feel? How is their thinking different to how my thinking is today? And how do they feel different to how I feel today? Think also then about where I am at the moment. So how do I currently think and feel? Because what we're looking at doing is building the gap between, or understanding the gap between where I am currently to where I will be when I have achieved my ultimate goal. Then the next step is, what has changed between now and then? So what, in terms of my thinking, my actions, my priorities, how am I different between now and this ultimate goal? So I'm a different person once I've achieved this ultimate goal, and I've had to let go of certain patterns of behavior and thinking today in order to get there. So take note of what's actually changed in order to get there. Then what are the behaviors or actions that you can take? And you can either consider this on a macro or a micro level in order to help you get there. But where we got with this particular client was every day looking at this ultimate goal and this person, this version of you once you've achieved the ultimate goal, and what are the behaviors, intentions, and actions that I need to take, think, feel today in order to help me get towards that person who has achieved that goal. That is my framework.
I love the framework. I do love the framework, because you know what the framework does? I'm sure you do know what the framework does, but the way it speaks to me, Shannyn, is it just creates very structured and helpful thinking, because quite often the thoughts are all there. We know the stuff, but it's all jumbled up there. Like, you know what it's like? It's like Willy Wonka in the movie, and they're looking up and everything's pixelated up the top. Remember, even that little boy was pixelated up the top there. So everything's up there. And that's what stops us sometimes from going down the path of a framework, a good framework, because we think, but I know the stuff. I know what my goal is. I know what it's going to look like when I get there. But bringing it down to this kind of framework, and if you actually step through those 5 areas and answered those questions thoughtfully, you would end up with your absolute plan of getting to that goal. Powerful stuff, Shannyn.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That is a copy written by me. I made it up yesterday, working off a coaching framework, but, you know, it's from the gold. My butt must have been working yesterday.
I can tell this was butt-generated thought, Shannyn.
It's my signature coaching model.
It's really helpful. So you haven't had a chance to actually put this in play in its current format just yet?
No, but
I wasn't saying that as a criticism either.
Gee, come on, Julie.
Talk about high expectations that Julie has. God, I should have done some research.
Well, Julie, I haven't yet. The ultimate goal of me in the future is someone who uses this, so I could work through it on that. But perhaps there might be something that you'd like to bring to the table, and we can run through this using the Julie effect.
I've got to say, Shannyn, I'm feeling a little bit selfish because as you know, I go on my power walks when I do contemplate and stuff, and I always trying to lay down a repeated affirmation and have that be my background noise while I'm thinking about other stuff. And my background noise one was, you know, for people that aren't used to my power walk, sometimes it's I'm super confident, sometimes it's I'm a super performer. But yesterday's was that I'm earning millions of dollars. I'd like to earn millions of dollars.
Okay, yeah. Cool. So the ultimate goal, let's be a little bit specific about your ultimate goal.
Okay, just $1 million then. Will let's get to $1 million?
No, you can have gazillions. I'm not here to judge. Is it $1 million in the bank, $1 million a year, $1 million a month? Just be good to kind of get some context around.
My thought was I'm earning millions because I want to work for it. I don't want it just to be handed to me. I'm very picky about how this money comes to me. But I will never knock it back. You know, if the universe deems it comes easily, it comes easily.
Absolutely.
So let me think about every month, tens of thousands of dollars are coming into my bank account. Is that good?
You'd need hundreds of thousands to get to $1 million a year.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. See, I'm already jeopardizing myself. I'm already saying, but you're not worth millions, because I brought it down to tens of thousands.
Well, no judgment. I just want some specificity, just because that feeds my needs.
Okay, let's do this. Let's go. We're heading up to the financial year. Fantastic. So we're recording this on the 2nd of June. And so the financial year 21-22, I will earn $1 million.
Amazing. So your ultimate goal in the next year, you have earned $1 million.
Yes, I've answered question number 1. What is the ultimate goal?
Fantastic. You're well on your way.
I'm already there. Yeah.
Just take a moment to kind of breathe into that. Let's do sort of coachy. So just take a moment and just visualize yourself in that space of where you are looking at maybe your profit and loss for the end of financial year, and the final figure is $1 million in year 0, or you're looking at your
government half. Damn it.
That's okay. You're just looking at your sales line.
I've already brought down my earnings by half. No, I will gleefully hand over all that money. They will be thrilled to have me as a taxpayer.
Fantastic.
Okay, I'm getting into it. I've got to get my head into it. My sister's my bookkeeper. She's emailing me, man, you got there. You reached $1 million.
Check you out. Let's go have champagne.
Jumping on westpac.com.au. I'm seeing my balance there. So
Amazing.
much.
Amazing.
I need another account to help hold all those figures. Yes. Okay.
So tell me how you think and you feel that is different, and not so much. I think sometimes we go, $1 million, and I feel abundant and I feel amazing, but we don't fully. It's not real sometimes. I don't know. For me, I know that there's been times where I put big goals out and I feel amazing, and it's like, but I don't know if I would feel that. So we really want to authentically understand, how do you feel looking at those numbers, and what are you thinking? What are you thinking about the journey? What are you thinking about what it's taken to get there? What are your thoughts?
Well, and this is where Charles is so brilliant with what he says, that we think that success equals the elimination of problems. It's actually the attraction of bigger problems, because we are becoming better and better in our lives. And certainly that's the case. So my first thought is an anxiety to maintain it. What do I need to do to maintain it now? So now I've got a new problem of maintenance of that income, because my lifestyle is shifting to a new gear and I need to maintain that.
Could I potentially challenge you in that the anxiety exists here, which is holding you back from the person who has that money?
Say that again.
The anxiety exists today, and that could potentially be part of the problem that's creating the problem of not getting to $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
That fear of success, right? If I'm successful, then I'm going to have way more issues. So have you solved that?
And what if I lose it? Oh my God, what if I lose that success? What if I don't have it within myself to maintain it?
Mm-hmm. So once you've got to the $1 million, are you thinking that way or are you not?
Well, I can't be.
100%.
Because I got there.
100%.
Yeah, you're right. Right. So there's actually an excitement about maintaining it rather than anxiety around maintaining it.
Great.
Oh, you're good, Shan. Oh, you're a good coach. I've already got progress. We've only been speaking for a few moments. Excitement, no anxiety. That's good. I'm excited about maintaining it, and I'm thinking of bigger ideas on actually building on that even more so. I mean, the growth of this past year, that will just be replicated year after year, and the compounding effect. Oh my gosh, you want to be a very good friend of mine, Shannon. I'll be paying for all these holidays. Oh, no, I won't. We're in lockdown.
You can ship sand and then a cleaner in to sand into my apartment and then a cleaner in.
Good. So I'm excited about the maintenance of it. I'm excited about the new ideas coming in, so there's more growth. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What else? How are you feeling that's a little bit different to how you might be feeling today? And what we can always also do, and so with this framework, because I haven't tested it out, you could actually start with, how do I feel now? How do I feel about that now? So you were talking about the anxiety to maintain. So it's a now fear.
Yeah, I like it. A column of now and then. Yeah. Oh, I need a new bit of paper. Hang on a second.
Yeah, we're kind of building this plane as we're flying it in situations.
So we're going from anxiety to excitement.
Okay.
And like at the moment, I'm just focusing really on 2 core products. Whereas when I'm up there will be plenty of products.
What's
that I'll be
shift between what's had to shift between you now to then in order to maintain between 2 core products and multiple products?
Great question. I'm contemplating. I'll edit it out so people don't have to be bored with my contemplation time.
That's okay.
What has shifted and changed between the 2? I can see greater opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore I see limited opportunity now. Oof, man. Oh, crazy. Okay.
Good work, Julie. Thanks for being so vulnerable in this space.
Oh, I've been more vulnerable. You know, when I spoke about the future I didn't want in one of our past episodes, that was the most vulnerable I've ever been publicly. Luckily, everybody wasn't there mocking me and pointing at me and laughing.
I think you did a brilliant job. I just listened to the I'm Overwhelmed, the Shannon's Overwhelmed episode. And geez, I tell you what, if pain wasn't very obvious on my face during that session.
It's like a form of journaling, isn't it? This podcast. Be
Okay,
good. Okay, so then I'm seeing limited opportunity now, so therefore I'm seeing an abundance of opportunity. Then also it would be that everything's up to me now with my level of income. Everything's up to me now. So turning over $1 million, this is where I start getting a team who, as Tim Ferriss talks about the 4-hour work week, and I heard him interviewed around the concepts around the amount of time that we spend working. And he said, if I said to you, you actually only have 1 hour a week to spend on your work, identify how that hour would be spent. And it really does help you bring yourself down to what's the real juice that I produce? Where's my time absolutely best spent? And that thought of what would I be doing if I only had 1 hour, that this kind of scenario allows for that. When you've got a turnover where you can actually employ a team to start doing other bits and pieces. And this is the other thing too, tapping into their brilliance. And so all of a sudden I go from mediocre social poster to the company being extraordinary at social posting because I've got somebody brilliant in that space doing it.
Mm. So what's the thinking that's had to change? Because it sounds like you're saying all the right words, Julie, but what has to shift between today and your $1 million year in order for that?
I think to actually put in place a plan for that now, even though I can't fund it now, to actually put the plan in place now. So I know exactly what I'm working towards with that. I know what that looks like. I know what my working days actually look like, what I'll be doing in those working days, because now I can visualize the other members of the team doing the other stuff. So I don't need to be able to afford that now, do I? I can still plan for that now.
Incidentally, you could actually use this framework for that.
Love it. Love it. Beautiful. Okay.
What else has had to change between today and this version of you who's looking at your $1 million year? What have you had to let go of?
I went down this path with Charles this was a few years ago, I didn't quite understand the whole fear of success thing. I hadn't brought that into my heart, how that could happen, even though I've displayed already that I have that. And he asked me a series of questions, and it did come because, with my marriage and partnership with Charles, I freaking love it. Like, it's just so glorious and delightful. And so there is that fear that if our lifestyle changes, does that then have a negative impact on our relationship? And so there was that deep fear. I'm hoping the minute I read, how sometimes the minute you recognize or acknowledge something, it kind of dissipates. And I felt that was with that. I'm like, oh, okay, I get how that. And he said, we had the discussion around it. He said, why wouldn't it just get so much better? We'd be having traveling experiences together. We would be having all this of our businesses. And he's got a lot of focus around charitable work and philanthropic approaches to the world. And he said, all that could happen. Like, why wouldn't everything just get better? Like, the finances would get richer, but all of our other experiences may get richer as well. They may not just get worse. I'm like, yeah. So that's part of that importance of visualizing what that new world would look like. And so I think that I would have to see all of my relationships, my friendships, my working relationships becoming richer, not because of the money, not because of the success, but so I stop fearing it, that they might become less. I need to picture them become more.
So the future is greater richness in opportunities, experiences, relationships.
Yeah.
Sort of says right now they're not that rich. Oops.
Wow, they're beautiful. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe now it's rich now, but it's rich with the fear of it going. And don't we all approach relationships that are dear to us? Don't we approach them that way sometimes? How often, like, I've just recently had conversations with somebody close to me around them entering into a new relationship. It was so filled with fear. It was preventing it from flourishing and from growing a natural course of love development and, budding love and everything. So how often do we do that? We do taint the things that are treasured to us. It could be even our holiday home, our holidays. We taint it with the fear of losing it. And so the richer experience comes from having that, embracing that, being grateful for that, without the tainting of it with, but what if it goes, without the fear attachment. And so that would be the before and after. Before, experience of life with fear of losing it. After, experience of life without the fear of losing it.
So if you don't have the fear of losing it, what do you have instead? Yeah.
The first thing that comes to my mind, I don't know if it's going to be strong enough though, is just acceptance. Just acceptance of life without any fear, knowing that my life just gets richer. I don't know what it's going to be filled with, but my life and my experiences, my relationships get richer and richer.
Yeah, that acceptance thing really falls into the sort of Buddhist non-attachment thing, because if you're then not attached to the person or the experience, then you are free and they are free, if there's someone else involved, to experience it however they need to be experienced. So you've got nothing to fear around loss because you're not attached to having it.
What you just said, you've actually got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
There's nothing to lose. For some reason that resonates with me. There's nothing to lose.
Fabulous. Okay. So you could spend a little bit longer building the picture and understanding and unpacking where you're at. But maybe in terms of taking this to how do you now transfer this into a daily action? So if we were going to leave this podcast today, which we are, with a...
Doesn't go on forever.
It doesn't go on forever. I'd love it to, don't get me wrong. But let's work with I have no idea what the book's called, but the 1% rule or the 1% better. If you can be 1% closer to this future version of you by the end of today, what is the 1% things that you can try on for the rest of the day? An intention, a behavior, or an action, and what's going to be really achievable. I don't know about you, but often I get excited with these sorts of conversations and I'm like, well, here's my 10-step plan and I'm going to do this, and and I get so overwhelmed, again, go back to the episode of Shannyn So Overwhelmed, that I don't get anything done. So we really want something that's really achievable that you can tick off at the end of the day that says, you know what, I'm working towards this version of me who's achieved this ultimate goal. And we're looking at behaviours around how you are, not necessarily, yes, there is the action plan, but it's also about how do you change in order to take a different action, right? Because it's all about how we think, then changes the way that we do things. So we want to, yeah. So what's the thing?
First two things that have come up for me that I could do today, because as you started off saying, we get too busy to do these things. We're never too busy to do anything. We just haven't prioritized that important thing high enough. Yeah. So I prioritize getting that broad framework of what my daily routine looks like when I have a team doing stuff.
Okay.
In essence, that's going to be a bit of a basic outline of a business plan. The marketing, this person's doing it, recognizing where my goal is, ideas creation or program creation or whatever to have with my clients. So I think to get a snapshot of what things look like so I can start formulating a plan and actually prioritizing it higher than anything else I've got to do today. I'm going to I'm going to schedule myself to do that for 1 hour today.
Fantastic.
Thank you, lockdown, for giving me so much time.
Happy days.
I'm going to prioritize the plan. So I'm just going to write this down, plan towards the goal, the ultimate goal. And the second thing, because I really do believe that residing within me, even though at the start I felt like I didn't actually have, what's this fear of success? That sounds so ridiculous. What the hell is that? And we'll talk about that one day as a topic, because I'm sure there's lots of people, well, not as dumb as me out there, but a lot of people curious about it out there.
Absolutely.
But because obviously it is a residing thing, because it's come up for me again today with our discussion, going through this template, this wonderfully useful template, going from fear to absolute acceptance that there's nothing to lose. I've got nothing to lose. Tapping into that core belief, and I'm going to use the system that I've found useful for myself. So commit to myself every single day to go out for my half an hour to 1 hour walk. And it's just time permitting, but that half an hour, 1 hour, I'm going to spend putting in that new track, rather than, it's going to shift it slightly from I make millions, I'm earning millions, to there's nothing to lose, through abundance of success, of what success with relationships, success with money, success with career, success with whatever. I've got nothing to lose. I've got nothing to lose. I've got nothing to lose. Oh, it's feeling nice. It's feeling nice.
Wonderful. Very nice.
This has been a powerful podcast episode, all about Julie, just for Julie.
We love it. I do want to encourage our listeners to, I think, and I am so guilty of this. You've given yourself an hour to do this. Give listeners, if there is value to what you're hearing, but there is a time limit, an abundance of time block that you may or may not have. I may be projecting my own issues here on this podcast. Give yourself, what is the minimum amount of time that you can allocate to do this task, and just ponder whatever comes up first. So with that ultimate goal, it could be, my ultimate goal is I actually allocate time to do this thinking, and then work through, okay, well then who is the person who allocates time to do this thinking? How do I think now? What's the contrast between what has to happen? And then what are the behaviours, intentions that I can put in on a daily basis now, or at least today, and then I do it again tomorrow. And the behaviours and intentions can change, because you won't be the same person as you were yesterday. So you want to actually spend the time.
That's right. What would that future me, the person that's turning over the $1 million and looking at future growth, how do I prioritise the things I do during the day?
Yeah. So with this particular client, I said, what's the minimum amount of time? And they said 15 minutes. And I said, could you do it in 5 minutes? And they said, I wouldn't value it if I only put 5 minutes to it. And I'm like, great. So 15 minutes is a good little window to just sit. Now, if you're not doing any of this thinking time, imagine what 15 minutes of sitting there thinking and pondering some of these questions within the framework might actually have on your life and business and love and opportunity. Who knows?
Well, you're awesome. And I am going to be the first one, I think, to utilise this framework and make sure it's copyrighted Shannyn Merlo, Inspired Outcomes, because one of the things that's coming up that I wanted to focus on with the club, my membership for my dental practices, was the 5-year plan. And this is crucial for that. And the impact that this episode has had on me, I'm hoping that others can have that as well. I might even get your assistance with that club presentation, my weekly presentations that I put out to my club members. If you could join me on that one, that would be fantastic.
Love to. I wonder whether maybe future version of Shannyn have a framework downloadable ready for this episode, which is like a PDF downloadable, so that the framework is in a structure that you can just plug and play with.
Oh, that would be awesome, Shan. And it would make me look awesome because I'm delivering it.
I only want to do things that
come on down, Shannyn. She's going to make magnificent impact on everybody, and everyone's going to think, thank God for Julie Parker, we wouldn't have been exposed to Shannyn Merlo.
Thank God for Julie Parker, because otherwise we wouldn't be doing this podcast.
Well, you've done the research now. The framework works. Woo!
Bang! And that, our friends listening in, is really the gold of having a conversation with a coach. Not that I want to unpack what I did, but I think a lot of people question, well, what's the value of a coach? And if you listen back, what I did with Julie was just say, hang on, where are you at with that? What needs to shift? Hang on, you're here. Let's think about that. So I think that's the bit that people miss with coaching. And if there's other coaches there and I didn't do it right, please feel free to give me feedback.
Only positive feedback, though.
Any feedback? What we just did an episode on feedback, didn't we?
That was just our last one, yeah. Episode 20. How funny is feedback? Not.
Yeah, so check that one out. I love how you brought that around, Julie.
It was all intentional. Not by accident at all. Well, that's really gold, Shannyn, and listeners and viewers out there, look into the show notes, because we do record these weeks before we actually publish them, and there's every likelihood that Shannyn's got that template, and there's a link in the show notes to have a look at it yourself, to try to implement it within your own world. And certainly contact Shannyn Merlo at inspired-outcomes.com.
Beautiful.
If you would like to employ Shannyn to have her go through the template with you, so it can become quite a powerful thing in your world. And this time in a year's time, I'm just so excited about that $1 million.
We're going to come back in a year's time and be like, Julie.
Yeah. We're going to be doing these podcasts with champagne. Doesn't matter how early in the day we're recording them, there's going to be champagne.
To be fair, much as I don't think I have too much of a drinking problem, after listening to the announcement, the media circus, I did wonder whether I could do the podcast with alcohol. But for our listeners, no, I am sober, and I have been sober for every podcast episode, even if you question it.
Yes, and so the whole world, wherever you're listening to this, we've been in lockdown for the 4th time. This past lockdown has lasted a week. We were told it would be a week. We've just been told it's going to be days longer than just a week. And
another week.
Discomfort around that.
Yes, another week. But given that we were in this same situation,
is it another whole week?
Another whole week, yeah.
Well, let's flip the meaning. It has, and it just allows me to get this plan, the nuts and bolts of the plan, down on paper, so I can get to that $1 million real quick.
Wonderful. Benefits.
Thank you so much for a powerful episode for me, Shannyn. I really enjoyed it.
You're so welcome. I had fun. I had fun delivering it. Thanks for indulging me in sharing this idea.
It's powerful. I encourage everyone to go through that process. So just as a summary, remind us what those 5 questions are within your template, Shannyn.
So what's the ultimate goal? big or small, the ultimate goal. How do you think now? And how will you think when you think and feel? So how do you think and feel now? How do you think and feel when you've achieved that ultimate goal? And then what things have changed between now and there? What are the things you've had to let go of? What are the actions you've need to have taken, my English.
Well done.
You're welcome. So sort of on one side, where are you now? Where are you in the future in terms of your thinking, your feeling, who you are as a person who's achieved this goal? You've changed, and what have you needed to have changed in order to get there? And then what are the behaviours, intentions or actions that you're going to take on this day in order to move yourself that 1% or 0.5% or to move yourself forward in terms of enacting that change in you?
Glorious, glorious stuff. A reminder to everybody, if you are enjoying the podcast or the video cast on YouTube, please give us a 5-star rating. We do like to have a giggle and say we don't accept anything less. Obviously, we think we're awesome, so we think we deserve 5 stars. And also leave us a review. Contact us within the details in the show notes if you would like us to focus on any other particular topic. And if you are just listening to us on the podcast, subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, hit those buttons, and that would be greatly appreciated. And until next time, Shannon, thank you so much. It's been an absolute gift for me today. Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, listeners. Thanks for being here, Julie, and sharing your goals.
Such an admirable one. More cash.
To do more good things.
That's right, to do powerful good things. Thank you so much. See you next time.